Hello everybody and welcome back to another Dark Mechanicus video. So guys, I have not done a few videos for a while, mainly because it is so goddamn hot up in this attic, I can barely paint anything, let alone sit here and film. I've actually recently found the energy to come up and actually do one. But there's one thing I have been doing in the cold spells that it's been in the UK. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's not even that hot in the UK, it's well hotter in Spain and stuff. Not for me, I am not built to handle hot weather. But anyway, so guys, what have I been up to? Well, I finished the amazing Mechanicus Pimp throne of epicosity. So without further ado guys, let's have a look at it. Well, it's probably 98% finished. I've got some stuff to do on the edge of the base and some bits of static grass to add and things, but other than that, it's looking pretty damn good. Now I'm going to try and rotate this slowly for you. So, in fact, no, we're going to zoom out a little bit so I can run the whole thing into camera. So I decided to go away from the idea of putting it on the dune crawler legs, mainly because finding a pair of dune crawler legs is ridiculously difficult. In fact, it's notoriously difficult, and I can't fucking find them anywhere for a price that I'd want to pay. I had somebody trying to sell me them on eBay for 20 quid. I was like, fuck off, 20 quid for a set of legs. But they know it's one of those parts that people need. There's nobody out there that's got any for trade, and I wasn't going to spend 40 quid and buy a brand new dune crawler just for the legs so I'd have a leftover cap. So I had to think of an alternate way of doing things. Now I would consider putting it on defiler legs, which I have a few spare. However, a bit too big to be a dune crawler. So then I thought maybe a big tracked unit, but then I was like, I would rather use the tracks on something else, like if I want to make my own custom Cataphren destroyers or something. Then I thought, hang on, I'm sure that the Adeptus Mechanicus have a great big pimp kind of throne chariot already, and that's supported by Mechanics. So I thought to myself, fuck it, let's do it in the 41st millennium. So I made the pimp throne on a big mass of Mechanics here. Now, going through the actual bit, securing it to the base is one of these, which is a bit of till roll that I essentially just glued top and bottom to it. And then what I did, I actually included other bits of tubing and rod to look like it had some kind of, chamber inside where the Mechanics are stored, and then started gluing them all around and wrapping them round and layering them and overlapping them and intertwining them until we had this kind of construct here, which just looks really, really cool, and it looks proper writhy, and especially once the engine oil's on it as well, it just really ties it apart from the actual throne itself. Moving up to the throne, I'm getting bits of sand everywhere because it's I've not dusted it off properly. So what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in a little bit and we're going to look at the actual throne. So the throne, I was going to do it like a complete brass colour, but I thought it would look a bit too much of a contrast between that and the tentacles, the Mechanics, and then the yellow sand that I'm using for the base. So I opted for a silver throne with coloured detailing. As you can see, I've done the skulls in just a regular skull colour. We've got the paper and stuff there, which looks really old and battered. It looks like, I imagine this guy's like a scribe of some description. He's writing it down because he's got this big kind of like pen-like finger going on. The actual gun itself, now this was something that I ummed and ahed about for a long time. I wanted to have some kind of gun that represented the eradication beamer from the actual kits themselves. So I toyed around for ages. I was going to have like a las cannon on the side. I was going to have a guy holding like a crazy ass gun. I decided at the end of the day it didn't look right. So I used this section. This is from a leftover piece of a, whatchamacallit, from Mantic. It's some kind of goblin like track cannon thing. So it's a leftover bit from that with a bit of a, what do you call these from the Morphine and Forge Green kit, a magma cutter, with the radar dish from a Skitarii dune crawler, and then with the, I think that's like some kind of power coil from the dune crawler, and then the barrel of one of the auto cannons. And it just looks really cool. It looks prehensile enough that it can go anywhere, and it can like move around and access all, kind of like angles and stuff. So I left it that, which was pretty cool. Now, speaking on to the gun and shooting, in game, I will measure it from the servitor here, because that is where the gun would be if I put a regular Doomcrawler on a base. Speaking of which, let's take a closer look at some of these servitors. Now, I wanted to include the servitors on the base because the base felt a bit empty and it lacked narrative. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go in and I'm going to do the actual power core here for the plasma cannon separately, maybe with a brush or maybe with my SOTAR 2020. But the servitors came out really, really cool, and I wanted more, but I didn't have many, apart from the guys that you see there in the background. But I'm using them for another project. And then we have this really old servitor here. Now, I've been looking for an excuse to include this guy for a long, long time because he's so old and he's, to be honest, something you don't see very often, and I really like him. He isn't a very static pose, but he was fun to paint, and it was cool because it just gives this base just a little bit more narrative. Now, these servitors were courtesy of the very gracious and strongman-like Spud Tate, so thank you very much for that one, buddy. They helped out an awful lot. Let's zoom in to the actual tech priest in here. Now, here's the actual Inquisitor guy, was it Inquisitor Kamarovsky or something like that sits in the throne. However, I've not used the original arms. I actually had a spare pointy Skitarii arm lying around, and that fit perfectly. And then to add a more melded, kind of like a more integrated feel to the throne, I kind of left the other arm off, replaced it with a bit of tubing, and then used the pipe maker to go around and like integrate him into the actual throne himself. Gave him a hood, gave him another pipe like a rebreather coming out into there, and then I gave him an out of production servo harness, which was really, really cool. And I actually broke a fucking pair of clippers on that because it has a little whatchamacallit on the back, a little vent, and see if I've actually still got them here. Yeah, so I was trying to clip the vent off, and yeah, that happened, so I was pissed off that I had to fork out for another set of fucking clippers. That's like the second set in a month, which is stupid. The other little guy, this model involved a lot of painting stuff separate. For example, I painted the tech priest guy separate, his little adept here, I painted him separate as well, painted this bit separate, and then painted the base and the servitor separately, and then they all came together in one glorious project. But just in case people want to get a close look at this guy, he doesn't actually have legs, he's like integrated into the throne itself, which is pretty cool. We've got some little Mechanicum icons here covering up the inquisitorial bits on the throne, as I've said on the last video. And then moving around on the back, I was toying with the idea of having this object source lit, but I actually did it and it looked like a pile of shit, so I decided not to. But anyway guys, so that is my stand-in third Doomcrawler. And if I actually bring a Doomcrawler in, because the base is quite busy with the servitors and whatnot, it actually fits in pretty well in regards to size and looks pretty damn epic. So guys, if you like this build, please let me know what you thought of it in the comments and the doobly-doo down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like, favourite and subscribe, as it's one of my ways of interacting with you. Sorry, never mind. Don't forget to like, favourite and subscribe, sorry. If you like this video, put a comment in the doobly-doo down below. Don't forget to check out the Facebook page as well, because it's my way of interacting with you guys outside of YouTube. Thank you very much for watching guys, I'll see you guys again. Goodbye.